Hello, and welcome to the channel of Healing and Growth with Claudine. Today is a story time. I want to share my story about how I broke free from trauma bond. How did I manage to make it happen? So through my videos, I have been sharing why I started my journey for healing and growth. The major reason why it was a major heartbreak that I experienced back in 2022 that shattered me to my core. And how did I get there? This person, we have been in on and off relationship for quite a good number of years, almost 9 years. I met him just right after I came to Canada back in 2009. And when we met, we reconnected right away. But our relationship was shortly lived because we had different ambitions, we had different goals back in time. He had already a son and he didn't want to have he had more kids. I wanted a family. I was looking to build a family of my own, and he was not on the same page. So we did it briefly, and we went separate ways. I got married. My marriage didn't go for long. I stayed in that marriage for 3 years. And that's another story to tell another time. So after my separation, I reconnected with this person. And when we connected, although I was still going through major life challenges, he was there to support me, and he told me that he really cared about me, that he loved me, and he wanted to be there for me the best way he can. But we both knew that it was not the right time because I was still going through so much challenges with the separation and divorce. I was trying to make a career and raising my daughter. She was 9 months. I was by myself. So there was a lot of stuff on my table. I wasn't ready to go into a relationship with anyone at that time. And he was also busy raising his son too. He was busy with his work. Pretty much we were both unavailable. But we just took it casually to see that we will evaluate as we go and see how it goes. So years went by. Our relationship was really almost superficial, if I'm being honest. We never had conversations about the future and when we'll get there. And then as the time goes by, and I was getting through from other life challenges, my life was getting on track slowly but progressively. I had my mom come to join me here, raise my daughter. I had already found a stable job. So things were starting going my way. And as I was progressing, I also start thinking of how I could face my heart as well and see where we're heading. So in December 2021, that's where I started asking for those serious conversation because I thought it was the time that we evaluate where we were at in terms of relationship and see if it's something we want to continue progressively and in proper way, or if it's something we have to abort and go separate ways. So I was ready for those conversations, but I don't think my ex was on the same page. So rather than just agree to sit down and have those difficult conversations, he opted to run away as usual because that's what he used to do whenever I used to open up and asking to build that emotional intimacy. He will always, find escapade, and I never give it much attention until it got into me actually back then in 2022 when I thought that it was the time to face all that and see what we were doing. So he chose to run away as usual. I remember texting him and calling about 3 weeks asking for that permission to meet. He had endless excuses of why we couldn't meet, why he's busy with that, he's busy with this, with work, with family life, whatever. He completely refused to meet with me and sit down face to face and have those conversations. So that refusal hit me on another level. It was so painful that I got so mad and so enraged that I had to find another way to make those conversations happen. So I couldn't go to his place and announce it's not in my nature. And the way I was feeling, if I went there, I don't know what would have happened. That's what happens when people are emotionally in pain. They don't think clearly. That's why we see people killing each other or slamming into each other's cars, whatever. I didn't want to go through that load to express how I was feeling. So I had to find another way, a smart way to make it happen. And the way I know myself, I know that I'm the most resilient, the most patient, the most empathic person you could come across to. But when I am pushed too far, for some people, they regret to have ever met me if they overstep on my toes. Because I make sure to give it back to them the way I feel it. I tap into my psych abilities and my assessment abilities and give it back to them in right things. And that's exactly what I did. So I started putting my heart out on WhatsApp. I went through those emotions, I went through those feelings with facts and most detailed event that I could think of from since day one. I knew this guy. So I had a lot of things to say that was inside of me for the whole 9+ years I have been with this guy on and off. Through those WhatsApp messages, I talked and talked and talked. And surprisingly, I got the answers I wanted. So he finally broke that silence and he responded back. And yeah, he responded back. And to everything I was putting out, he was like, yeah, that's true, that's true, that's true, that's who I am. That's what has been happening, my life, my childhood traumas. And he told me so much and so much. So most of the things I didn't even know. So I got all the answers I wanted through WhatsApp messages. because I was super fed up of being treated that way. And most importantly, also, I was fed up of failing the two relationships that I have experienced. I was ready to understand on deeper level how the heck people build relationships, because the two times I tried, I failed miserably. I was ready to face myself in really deeper levels and figure out how I end up on that dormant level, and figure out how I end up in that space where I have to beg for someone for the attention, for the conversation. I have had enough. So through those text messages, I got all the answers I wanted. And then I started working on myself, like really intentionally. And as I was working on myself, surprisingly, I found out that the rage I was feeling inside was being replaced by compassion. Compassion based on what I was discovering about myself specifically, and my ex as well. Because as I was working on myself, I was learning about everything and anything about relationships, about childhood traumas, about anything, emotions and feelings, how we deal with that. I was learning about the difference of how we as men and women we think and feel in relationships. I taught myself all that stuff. The first book I read was this book. This book healed every single childhood trauma I had in myself. This book helped me to understand myself on the level about my childhood stuff I didn't even know I had before I started reading this book. Through this book, I get to understand my pattern behaviors. And as I was reading my pattern behaviors, also I was seeing my ex's pattern behaviors. And then the rage became compassion as I was reading this book. So I started sharing with him what I was discovering actually. And as I was sharing with him, he will say, everything you said is true. Everything, everything. My childhood traumas, yes, they are the main reasons I'm the way I am. I never get close to hear all those things. And that's why I operate the way I operate. So the second book I read was this book, Woman Evolve. This book changed the way I was seeing myself. And I recommend it to any woman who blames herself about the situations you had no control over, or even if the past mistakes you keep blaming yourself with. Read the Eve story, Eve from the Bible. It will help you to understand yourself as well. I also read this book, What the Heck is Self-Love? Oh my goodness, this book gave me the answers why I was looking for love in all wrong places when I could actually give that love to myself. So this book was also an eye-opener to heal my traumas. And the last book that made a solution for myself was this book, to understand men versus women's thinking and feeling in a relationship. This book gave me all the answers I was asking myself. So as I was reading all these books, I kept sharing with my ex what I was discovering. And he was like, oh man, everything is true. It's just the way it is. So And that conversation went on back and forth about 8 months. And then I cut the communications. I kept doing my healing journey because I was in that space to make a difference in my life. And I felt like I have already contributed enough to this man's life to change whatever he wanted to change if he chose to. But in that time and space, then I realized that this was the ultimate situation I needed in my life to help myself, to heal all those fears and understand myself and the level why I have been to hear every single reasons why I have been having hectic relationships. So when I cut off that communication, because I felt like my mission there was done, I have gotten my answers, and I was working vigorously on my healing. And I made sure that I share what I was doing with this person so that he can evaluate himself if he want to. And I felt like my mission there was done. I made sure that he does not do the same thing to the next women that comes to his life. But at the same time, I also made sure that I never, ever, ever have to experience such pain ever again moving forward. So the communication was done. I kept working on myself for almost another 6 months. And then he reached out. So when he reached out, everything in my mind was saying, no, don't open that door again. But my heart was saying otherwise. He was like, oh, maybe this time, if he's really serious, you can give him another chance and see how things goes. Because when he reached out, I had to ask him all the questions why he's reaching out. He was like, Claudine, you are the best person that has ever happened to me. I know that you care about me very much, and you are the only person who has ever cared about me, and I don't want to lose you. I'm working on myself as well, and I want you to give me another chance. So my mind was saying, no, don't fall to that trap. Based on everything I've read so far about these things, but my heart was like, what if what he's saying is true? What if he has changed or he's working on that change? If you can do it together, that could be the greatest testimony to share someday. So my heart gave in. I gave him that chance again because he was telling me that was a changed man and he was looking forward to build that future and work on that healing together. So I gave him that chance, and it didn't take long to feel and see that it was not what I was hoping and saying. So as soon as he got that chance, he slowly went back to his pattern behaviors. But this time, he could also see that I was a complete changed person, that I was no longer that person he could mess up with my emotions and feelings as he used to do before and feel like there was no repercussion on that. He saw me as a changed person, and that really scared him. So he tried his best, but he didn't get my level. And as he was trying harder and harder, I could see that it was actually suffocating him rather than just helping him out. And it was also bringing me back to square one from what I was getting out of. So we decided that we both actually come up to this conclusion that it was the best interest that we end up the relationship and we end it for good. And this time around, I was at peace with it. I never felt any pain like I felt before. It was the best breakup I ever had. And I was at peace with it. I was happy actually that it happened because I have come uh, through all those fears. I was in a safer space for myself, and I was not in that space to want to keep pulling him up with me when he does not want to do it himself. So I was happy with the outcome. And the last thing he said, he was like, Claudine, you are the best person I have ever have in my life. I don't want to lose you. Can we just be friends? And because now I was already dictated by this guy about what it means to be a friend with your ex, I was like, but no, thank you. It's not gonna happen. And I maintained that decision. So he was like, Claudine, I respect your decision and I admire your strength, and you are too smart for me to keep along. So I'm getting myself out of your way. His words. He wanted a lady that who was less smart and less knowledgeable to be under him. I was that woman once until I worked on myself slowly and I reversed the roles. I learned to love myself enough to not ever go out looking for that love elsewhere that I'm not able to give myself. I learned to face my fears enough to never ever feel alone, to the point of accepting a relationship that is not equal to what I actually need, desire, and I deserve. I learned to understand myself as a woman who is powerful, who is capable, who is worth of love she gives out. And I'm proud of the job I did this time. So if you're going through the same situation, relationship struggles, my friend, take time to evaluate yourself and see reasons why you keep pushing yourself to stay in relationships that don't bring peace to you, don't bring happiness to you, because you're scared, and that fear does not go away unless you face it and deal with it. It is possible to break through trauma bond. I did it and I'm proud of it, and I'm living to tell a story that it helps someone today stay braced and have a great life ahead of time. If you have a similar story, feel free to share so that we can keep building a legacy, and spread the light where it's needed the most. Take care of yourselves.